תורתך. שיחתי. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Ramesh, Sarah, Rosalie. Mr. Wrighton, John, Tulio, good to see you guys. Kosher Kid, haven't seen you before. Mr. Anonymous, nice to see you. Don't know who you are. No, the Torah does not support that community. No. It's antithetical to the Torah. בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים, חודש טוב, חודש מבורך. To everyone, tonight we're going to have, Baruch HaShem, another shiur, another amazing shiur that we're going to learn together about the Holy Torah of Rav Elchonon Wasserman and his War of Amalek series. Tonight's shiur is going to be for the Refuah Shlema and Hatzlacha Rabbah for Rav Efraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Rabbanit Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Avi Mori David ben Esriya, Imi Morati Doris bat Zora, and a very, very, very special thank you to all of those that support the organization. May Hashem bless each and every single one of you, 1,000-fold of what you donate to the organization in this world, BeEzrat HaShem, and endless-fold in the next world, BeEzrat HaShem. Appreciate everybody donating and supporting, and BeEzrat HaShem, more of you will do that as well, especially in the campaign that we have right now in the for the Shavuot to help poor families in Eretz Yisrael. Anyone that wants to help us, feed them, help them financially. This week is the week we're doing it, and BeEzrat HaShem, we will succeed. Also, for anyone who hasn't ordered the books yet, Baruch HaShem, they from the Kiruv store, they're going out faster than they're coming in. And BeEzrat HaShem, there's a lot of orders. So if you have ordered yet, Chazak u'Baruch, you'll get it. Don't worry. If you haven't gotten it yet, you'll get it. If you haven't ordered yet, order as soon as possible because supplies run out eventually. So you have an opportunity to go to kiruvstore.org, order the new books that we have over there, the Anti-Manus book, the books that we have of Rav Efraim. BeEzrat HaShem, we'll have some more stuff on the store very soon. So you could order as soon as possible. And of course, the best thing to give to your community are these Kiruv cards that we have, Tikkun Abrit cards. It's simply, from my perspective, it's the best investment in the world. That's why we keep doing it. It's cheap, it's efficient, and it gets results. Literally, you can get a box of them. It only comes 10 in a box. You put them in 10 different locations, and literally you can get, I would say, no less than 20 to a couple of hundred Baalei Teshuvah from each one of those boxes. So people that have a sechel literally will make it part of their day-to-day and order as many of those as possible because they're effective. They help people. And they also promote our, aside from the film of Tikkun Abrit, they also promote the AI Rabbi app that you can download and subscribe to at airabbi.org. So with that being said, let's get started, Rabotai Karim. We have a continuation of what we started last week, where Rav Elchonon Wasserman told us that all of the efforts of money, time, attention, kavod that is given to these messengers, whether they are Jewish politicians or non-Jewish politicians, these influencers, these Shapiros of the world, Pragers of the world, and other politicians, all of that investment that the Jewish community puts into those types of people is for naught. It's a waste of effort, a waste of money. Nothing good will ever come out of it. And he said the first sign that you see that this is a person that is not looking for the greater good of Am Yisrael is, simply put, he is looking for the opposite of what the Jewish leaders throughout our history, our Torah sages, what did they look for? He is looking for Anochi. He's looking for himself, whereas the Jewish leaders were looking for others. So the more time politics take up in people's minds, and today it's more than ever, people literally are into politics where they pay attention to what was announced every single day in the White House, in the Blue House, in the Red House, and any other house that talks politics. They know more about politicians than they know about Talmidei Chachamim throughout history. And a lot of time is spent on politics. People have an opinion about politics, whether it's Israeli politics, Russian politics, American politics, politics in all different countries around the world. People spend an enormous amount of effort in politics and politicians and always think that they have the solution, that if they get their guy in power, on this seat, on the throne, then we're going to win as a nation. And the truth is, it's surprising to those people when they hear how Rav Elchonon Wasserman and other great Torah sages completely rejected the proposed benefits to be gained from these politicians, Jewish or Gentile. Tonight, we're going to dig a little deeper into this rationale behind the words of the Rav, and even learn an extraordinary chidush from the Chatam Sofer about Avraham Avinu and what are the requirements for success as a leader of the Jewish people. Highly recommend you share this lecture with anyone you know that still has a pulse, because it's certainly going to be words that can shape your ideology. So Rav Wasserman told us, as I said, the leaders, the messengers that people are spending all their money donating to them are constantly looking for themselves. This is the opposite of what the leaders of Am Yisrael have done. And he gives us an example. Moshe Rabbeinu. Who is better than Moshe Rabbeinu? The leader of all leaders, the prophet of all prophets, Kodesh Kodeshim, Moshe Rabbeinu. He says, Moshe Rabbeinu, no one was ever or will ever be like him. How great he was. Yet, in his own eyes, he was as humble as can possibly be, the humblest man that ever lived or ever will live. And if you compare that to the greatest leaders of the Gentiles in history, Nebuchadnezzar and Sancheriv, they used to say about themselves, Ani v'afsiod. Everyone is a zero in comparison to us. So here we see an ideological difference between the two. On one end, Rav Wasserman is telling us that investing into politicians or influencers or power brokers or whatever it may be is a waste of effort because they look for this Anochi. And he wants to give us the example of the greatest leader we ever had, Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu's most well-known character trait is his humility. So as great as he was, I mean, literally, he was powerful. He was the wisest of all. In fact, the Gemara says that when we say that Shlomo Amalek was the wisest man of all, it's not compared to Moshe Rabbeinu. So, but you said the wisest man of all. Yes, of all men. Moshe Rabbeinu was not considered a regular person. He was considered half angel, half person. That's how he elevated himself. He's talking to Hashem like you talk to your friend. Why wouldn't he think he's greater than everybody else? And if you look at the leaders that conquered the entire world. You can't say that Donald Trump is the greatest leader ever. He hasn't conquered the entire world. You can't say that Paro was the greatest leader. He hasn't conquered the entire world. But the Goyim did have a couple of leaders that conquered the entire world. Nebuchadnezzar and Sancheriv, who said about themselves, their ego, as a result of their accomplishments, as a result of things that were material, allowed them to believe that literally everyone was a zero next to them. But their end was a destruction. While the end of Moshe Rabbeinu was the complete salvation of Am Yisrael, the freedom of slaves for the first and last time in history, where the slaves became the masters. And his name is known by every person on planet Earth throughout all of history, both Jews and Gentiles. His teachings are learned every single second this world exists. But he was humble. He's the opposite of them. In fact, Rabotai Karim, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, in Parashat Tetzaveh, says that Moshe Rabbeinu was not just the Mashiach that took us out of Egypt and brought us to salvation back then, but rather, he will be the last Mashiach. He will be the Mashiach. And we get this from a hint to this. Ma she'aya u'she'yeh. What was is what will be. And the Rashi Tevot, the first letter of Ma she'aya u, is Mem Shin Hey. Moshe. What was the past Mashiach that we had that brought us out of Egypt? Hu she'yeh is what is going to be. He is actually the Mashiach. So I know that a lot of people may be disappointed because they thought their rabbi is going to be Mashiach, or their father, or they are the Mashiach. But no, Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be Mashiach. That's what Or HaChaim HaKadosh says. And the reason Or HaChaim says, the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu has not come yet, is because Moshe Rabbeinu refuses to come so long as Am Yisrael is lazy when it comes to learning Torah and doing mitzvot. He doesn't want to come and bring salvation to a bunch of luggards, a bunch of people that are too busy watching sports instead of learning Torah. One time, a Chabadnik came to invite Rav Efraim, our own very dear Rav Efraim Kachlon, Gaon, giant among giants, that most people don't even realize what they have in their hands in this generation. And I'm not saying it because he's just simply my rabbi. Simply because if you learn his Torah, you understand very quickly. One of my favorite things in the world has been to see when Talmidei Chachamim open his book for the first time. I remember one time there was an event of rabbis that I was invited to, and there was a bunch, the whole place was full of Talmidei Chachamim, and they didn't know Rav Efraim. I brought some of his books to the event, and I gave it to some of the Dayanim, the people that were on stage. And as people were giving speeches, of course, the Dayanim, the Chachamim, what are they going to do? They open the book. There's a book in front of them. They start reading it. And the joy that I had looking at their faces, like literally they just discovered the greatest treasure they ever saw in their life. But most people are not familiar with it. And therefore, you could have Chachamim that are giants among giants sitting right next to you in shul and you wouldn't even know. Giants that are giving shurim, giants that are leading synagogues. But unfortunately, many times, Chachamim are sometimes restricted to the Yetzirah of the board, of the people, or whatever it is. Either way, eventually the sun rises. That's what one of Gdolei Israel said when a bunch of a bunch of people came to him to get his signature to sign against Rav Ovadia Yosef when he was still young, but already was recognized as one of Gedolei Israel, recognized as somebody as very special. He said, we want you to sign against him because he said something against what we believe. He laughs at them. He says, you want to put a net on the sun after it rose? Eventually the sun rises. Anyway, this one Chabadnik came to Rav Efraim to invite him. What? To invite him for what? To invite him to what he called Seudat Mashiach, a feast for the Mashiach. You know, in essence, celebrating the Mashiach is going to come. Obviously, he believed that his Rabbi, that has passed away for over 30 years, is the Mashiach. But nonetheless, he says, I want to invite you to come to Seudat Mashiach. We're having it at the Chabad house in Israel. Rav Efraim said, I'm sorry, I cannot come. Whoa, why not? It's Seudat Mashiach. He says, I have something more important to do. I have to go learn Torah. He says, learn Torah? No, it's more important to have a feast for the Mashiach to come. He says, no, according to the HaChaim HaKadosh, and according to the Gemara, and according to the Zohar, and according to every major posek in the history of Am Yisrael, there's nothing greater than learning Torah. And in fact, since the Mashiach is not going to come until we learn Torah properly, I have to go learn Torah to bring closer to the Mashiach. The HaChaim HaKadosh says, Ma shaya hu sheyeh. Moshe Rabbeinu is the Mashiach. And he's not going to come until we start learning Torah more seriously, instead of having, other things like feasts. So this Chabadnik got upset. No, why did HaChaim say such a thing? Mashiach is never going to come then. Rav Efraim says, listen, I didn't say it. HaChaim HaKadosh said it. You have a problem, you go to the HaChaim HaKadosh. I don't know if you want to deal with him, because he wrote in his Sefer called Brit Toar, in Ilchot Tolaim, that anyone who rejects his words, not for the sake of heaven, meaning just because they want to disagree, they want kavod, not for the sake of heaven, he says, I will personally have to deal with them. They'll deal with me as I will uproot them from the world and annihilate them. This he's talking about after he passed away already. So you want to mess with HaChaim HaKadosh, disagree with him, go ahead, have fun. The Chabadnik wasn't too happy, but he didn't have much to say. Reality is, sitting and learning the Torah is much more important. And Moshe Rabbeinu, his humility was beyond anything that we can possibly comprehend, as the Midrash says, that it wasn't just his humility next to the greatness of his brother Aharon HaKohen, who himself was also very humble, despite his greatness. His humility was not great only next to, let's say, Yoshua ben Nun, whose humility was also unbelievable. His humility wasn't only next to, if he compared himself to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, our forefathers. No. Moshe Rabbeinu thought of himself as even below someone that had tzarat. Now, someone that has tzarat, so Efraim always makes me laugh during the shiurim. He says, someone that has tzarat doesn't really have much to be proud about. I mean, even if his nose is very high in the air, eventually it falls off because of the tzarat. He looks at his nose, it falls on the floor. So someone has tzarat, his body falls apart. Shem Erachem. But Moshe Rabbeinu found something in that person that was greater than him. Something like that we cannot understand. And we see that humility, Rabotai, is not something that just happened. Rather, Rav Elchonon Wasserman says, this is the main condition for a leader of the Jewish community to succeed. He must delay his personal benefit and personal good for the sake of the masses. And this is how it has been with our nation's leaders forever. So we see from here, Rabotai, that humility is not just something that's a good recommendation, but rather a prerequisite for anyone who is looking to lead the Jewish people, whether it's the entire people or even a small group of Jews. You want to lead them? The first requirement, if you want to succeed, I mean, you can lead them without this requirement. You're just going to fail eventually. It's going to explode and it's going to be a disaster. They may become heretics. They may become secular. They may become atheists. They may even convert to different religions if you do it other ways. But if you want to succeed leading the Jewish people, humility is an absolute must. And it's seen by your sacrifice of your own personal benefit and good for the sake of the benefit of the masses, the benefit of those you lead. And this is how it has been for our nation's leaders forever. The Gemara in Masechet Horayos, page 10a, gives us a story that will give us a little bit more insight of what leadership is in the eyes of the Torah versus what people view as leadership today. The Gemara in Masechet Horayos says a story where there was one time an incident of Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua, who got on a ship at the same time. Rabban Gamliel was the Nasi. He was the king. He was going for the sake of Am Yisrael to go perhaps speak to the Roman Caesar, do things that are necessary for the benefit of the nation. Rabbi Yoshua, on the other hand, was going to collect tzedakah, was going to make money, to make a living. And they happened to be on the same ship. Rabban Gamliel brought with him a few loaves of bread. He figured he's going to be on the ship for a couple of days. He only needs a few loaves of bread. Rabbi Yoshua, on the other hand, the Gemara says, brought bread, but also a bunch of flour, because he assumed that he's going to have to make bread. He's going to run out of bread. And to just bring more bread is not a good idea because it'll get moldy, whereas flour stays fresh, and you could make bread later on, even if it's a week later. After a few days, they didn't get to their destination, and Rabban Gamliel finished his bread. He looked at Rabbi Yoshua, and Rabbi Yoshua is happy. Oh, for the Rav, don't worry, I got you. I got a bunch of flour. What kind of bread do you want? You want lafa? Do you want pita? What do you want? I'll make it for you. Rabban Gamliel was surprised. What, did you have Ruach HaKodesh or something? And you knew that we're going to have such a long delay to our destination that you ended up bringing so much flour? How did you know? How did you know to bring flour? I mean, this trip, of taking it 1,000 times, takes 3 days. The 3 days have passed, we're nowhere even close. But you have enough. How did you know? This, as a side note, shows that even the Tanaim were able to resurrect the dead and certainly had Ruach HaKodesh, show that Ruach HaKodesh doesn't work on demand, where whenever you want it, you have it. So, Rabban Gamliel didn't know this is going to happen, but Rabbi Yoshua apparently knew that this is going to happen. So Rabban Gamliel says, how did you know? Rabbi Yoshua says to him, there's one star that rises once every 70 years. and misleads the sailors. And I thought to myself, according to the calculations that I had, perhaps the star is going to rise during our journey on the ship and is going to mislead us. Because the way that the ship captain knows where he's going, there's no roads, there's no navigation system. The way they know is they look at the stars, position of the stars, they know this is north, this is south, and so on. That's how they know where to go. But Rabbi Yoshua says, yeah, but there's one star that appears only once every 70 years. So it can appear to them, and it'll look like something else, so they'll think, oh wait, this is the wrong direction, and they'll turn around, and instead of really going in the right direction, they're going back. By the time they realize, they've already lost 2-3 days of time, so it's a problem. But this happens only once every 70 years. When Rabban Gamliel heard this, he was even more enamored. You have such wisdom, yet you're boarding a ship to go earn a livelihood? Meaning, Rabban Gamliel says, you're a genius, you're Gdol Ador. How you have this calculation, you know all this information, and you're struggling for money that you need to go on a ship, which is dangerous. In those days, it was very dangerous to travel by ship. You could be one of the great rabbis of the generation. Rabbi Yoshua answers him, before you wonder too much about me, you should wonder about 2 disciples that you actually have. Rabbi Elazar Chisma and Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgada, who possess so much wisdom that they know how to estimate how many drops there are in the ocean. Meaning, their wisdom is literally immeasurable. These 2 Chachamim have wisdom that you cannot comprehend at all. Yet, says Rabbi Yoshua, they do not have bread to eat or clothes to wear. In essence, Rabbi Yoshua held that sustenance is not dependent on merit, rather it's dependent on mazal. So even though these are 2 giant chachamim, they're as poor as can possibly be. Rabban Gamliel took note of this and decided that as soon as he gets back, he is going to put both of these chachamim in a position of power so they can make a living. So as soon as he got back, he sent him a message to come. He wants to give them a position of authority. But they didn't come. They didn't come. He sent them another message. And this time they said, listen, we can't not come anymore. So they came. And immediately Rabban Gamliel realized they didn't come because they were too humble to accept such a position where they're going to get so much honor, kavod. So he quickly says to them, oh, you didn't come because it seems to you that I'm offering you a position of authority. That's why you didn't come at first. And you're fleeing from honor. But that's a mistake. I'm offering you servitude is what I'm giving you. Being a leader of the Jewish people is not honor. It's servitude. As the Torah says in Sefer Melachim in the book of Kings 1, chapter 12, verse 7, they spoke to him saying, if today you become a servant to this nation. What is this about? After Shlomo Amalek died, the people came and they wanted his son, who became the new king, Rechavam, to lower the taxes. So Rechavam went to the Chachamim, said, what should I do? And the Chachamim told him, be a servant to the people. Help them, plead with them. Humble yourself. If you have to lower, yes. Whatever is necessary to help the people. Rechavam also went to the politicians. He went to Shapiro and Prager and the rest of the missionaries. And he asked them, what do you think I should do with the people? And they told him, no, you want to lead? You want to be a leader and not everybody always thinking about your father, Shlomo, he's the son of Shlomo, but you want to be somebody that everybody remembers? Be bold, be strong, be tough with the people. Tell them that if they don't pay these 150% tariffs, no more trades. And Rechavam, unfortunately, listened to the politicians. And what happened? This opened up the door of opportunity for Yerovam ben Nevat, who was a great Chacham but a big Rasha, who became a king, empowered himself, and the kinghood of David was broken into two. Many followed Yerovam ben Nevat, and eventually he led them to idol worship. So Rabban Gamliel says to the Chachamim, you think that being a Jewish leader is honor? It's servitude. It's servitude. Now, when you see what Rabbi Yoshua said about the Chachamim, you see also a little bit of a difference from where they were and where we are today. What did Rabbi Yoshua complain about that they don't have? They don't have food to eat and clothes to wear. It's not like today where kid says, Ima, I'm hungry. Okay, hungry. Go. There's a bunch of things in the fridge. There's a bunch of things I cooked today. Kid looks at the fridge, closes it 2 seconds later. Looks at the pot, the brand new food she made. Nah, it's no good. This is not food. I'm going to order pizza. I'm going to go eat some shawarma. There's no food here. No, there's a lot of food. I just cooked. No, it's not food. People sometimes are spoiled. And if it's not the food that's particularly in line with their taste buds, it's considered nothing. Chachamim also said they didn't have clothes. It's not like today where you have an event, a simcha. It's coming up in a few days. And all of a sudden you see your wife is upset, full of anxiety. Honey, what's wrong? What happened? The kids okay? Yes, they're fine. Your parents are okay? Yeah, they're fine. What's wrong then? What's wrong? Why? No, this simcha, I don't know, I'm stressing out. Why? Why are you stressing out? It's not our simcha. We're going there. All we have to do is show up, eat, say Mazal Tov, that's it. No, I have nothing to wear. No? You open the closet, literally, it's Macy's. 500 dresses of every single possible color. But she says, I have nothing to wear. Nothing to wear. Why isn't this good? No, I wore this once. When did you wear it? Last year in the Simcha of such and people saw me in this dress already. Also, it goes bad after one-time use. It's disposable. What about this one? No, this one, I wore it already to Simcha. That one, no, that one is my Shabbat dress. That one, no, that one is only for bar mitzvahs. That one, no, that one is for graduation. Yeah, but all of our kids are little. They're 5, 6, and 7 years old. What graduation? Of what? Of kindergarten? No, graduation from yeshiva. Oh, so this dress is for 20 years from now? I'm saving it. I have nothing to wear now. Rabotai Kareem, times have changed, but sometimes if we don't acknowledge that we have to change, then we repeat the same mistakes. Rav Wasserman is telling us that the leaders of our nation over the generations knew that in order to succeed, sacrifice for the sake of the people is a prerequisite, no different than breathing every day. Now each person that says, we have a leader in our community, we have a board of directors, we have a rabbi, that's great that you have all of those things, but what defines their leadership? Is your definition of leadership because they have that position, that they sit on the stage during the speeches? Or is it because they're the ones that make the most sacrifices for the sake of the people? Are they making sacrifices for you? Or are they just simply writing the checks for whatever they please? On the other hand, says Rav Wasserman, if you look at the politicians, you look at the influencers who roam freely, meaning they do whatever they want. They do it for their own benefit, meaning their leadership is not for the benefit of the people. The reason why they're a politician, the reason why they are a news anchor, a leader of some kind, why? It's not because they want to help the people like they say in their speeches. It's not because they love the people and they're sacrificing everything for the people. No! It has nothing to do with it. It's for themselves. The whole thing's a show of saying that it's I'm doing it for the people. No, it's for their own benefit. And if you compare these people to the real Jewish leaders throughout history, they do not size up to even the smallest of the small leaders we've had, says Rav Wasserman. Because the politicians do not sacrifice any of their own joy or lusts and desires. They're not willing to sacrifice anything and would never sacrifice themselves for the sake of the good of the public. Rather, the opposite is true. The benefit and the good of the masses gets deferred and disregarded for the sake of the politician's intent and interest. So what profit can you ever get from such messengers, from such leaders, who always are the usual suspects of being the ones who sold out the masses for their own gain? These are the words of Rav Elchonon Wasserman. This is the rationale behind why it doesn't matter who the leader is, whether he's Jewish or not Jewish, religious or not. If he is not acting, living, breathing, da'at Torah, even in his role of leadership, then he's simply doing it for his own interest. And a politician's a politician. He'll sell out the whole country for the sake of his chair. And as they say, before the elections, even the walls talk to you. Why? Because before the elections, there's so much advertising and marketing. Every wall is full of posters. Vote for me, vote for me. The other guy's a bad guy. I'm the good guy. Every wall has these stuff. Today it's text messages, emails, news, everything. The walls are full of it. Even the walls are talking to you, telling you who to vote for. After the elections, though, all of those promises that they said, all of a sudden you see, no, they didn't happen. So you ask them question, hey, listen, Mr. Politician, Mr. President, Mr. Official, Mr. Board Member, remember you said, talk to the wall. Before the election, the walls are talking to you. After the elections, talk to the wall. And that's all due to the fact that leader from the perspective of Torah is someone that's willing to sacrifice the most. In fact, Chazal tell us that if it wasn't for Moshe Rabbeinu, Am Israel would still be in Egypt as slaves until this day, 3,300 plus years later. Why? Because no one was willing to die for Am Israel until Moshe Rabbeinu came. In essence, what our sages teach us, what Rav Wasserman is teaching us, is that if you're not willing to sacrifice for the sake of the masses, don't be a Jewish leader. Because your leadership will mislead people, and you'll end up in Gehenom as a result. Now the Chatam Sofer says an extraordinary chidush. $1 million minimum is what it's worth. Certainly something you've never heard, and something I only learned now. Chatam Sofer, in his introduction to his Sefer, in Yoreh De'ah, he says something that if he didn't say it, you couldn't even think of it. He says, of course, the level of prophecy that Avraham Avinu had was no less than the later prophets, which were his descendants, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Yechezkel, Ezekiel. They all spoke to Hashem. They had messages of what's going to happen in the future. So of course, Avraham was no less than them. Yet, Avraham Avinu did not attain access to this prophecy. Why not? Because he did not have time to do the preparations that are required to receive prophecy. Because prophecy is not like in people's imaginations where, you're sleeping and all of a sudden God comes to you and talks to you. Or you're walking around and all of a sudden you hear a message. Yaron. Yes, who is it? It's your son. Why you have that voice? I had something in my mouth, Abba. Oh, okay, fine. People think sometimes people are talking to them. Usually it's either they have shedim in their mind because of all the tumah or because their kids are playing a joke on them. Avraham Avinu, this is Kodesh Kodashim, our forefathers. Certainly he had no less prophecy than his descendants that were prophets. But yet he did not attain it because he did not have time to prepare himself. You have to clean yourself, you have to purify yourself, you have to meditate, do all types of things in order to receive prophecy. This is also one of the things that distinguished Moshe Rabbeinu from everyone else. All of the other prophets received their prophecy while they were laying down, while they were out. Whereas Moshe Rabbeinu was able to walk around and speak to Hashem, something unlike anybody else before or after him. But even Moshe Rabbeinu had to prepare before Hashem would speak to him. This is the reason why Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, and he's the only one he told this to, that he should leave his wife, Tzipora, Tzadikah. Why? Because the preparation that's required if you're married takes longer than the preparation if you're not married, because of the issues of purity and impurity. And Hashem says, I want to talk to you all the time. Whenever I feel like it, I want to talk to you. I don't want to wait for you 2 days, 3 days for you to prepare. I want to talk to you whenever. So I can't have anything get in the way. Leave your wife. Therefore, you're always pure. I can talk to you all the time, like we're friends. If you read some of the things that the Gemara, the Midrash, the Pirkei de Rabbi Natan, lots of Chachamim talk about the relationship between the conversations between Hashem and Moshe Rabbeinu. It's literally like unbelievable relationship. And this was due to the sacrifice that Moshe Rabbeinu had to make on a daily basis, living with no wife. Who can do that? By choice. So now Avraham Avinu, Avraham Oavi, Avraham my beloved, as great as he was, and the access to prophecy that he had, he did not attain it because he didn't have time to prepare himself. Why? Why didn't Avraham Avinu have time? I mean, this is great things. You could elevate yourself. You could do all types of amazing things. You could learn, elevate your Torah. Avraham, what are you doing that it's keeping you so busy that you cannot talk to Hashem? Says the Chatam Sofer. Avraham Avinu did not have time to prepare himself to receive the prophecy. Why? Because he was always teaching and serving his students and helping the masses get closer to Hashem. In fact, even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself came to speak to Avraham Avinu, in the middle of the conversation, in the middle of the prophecy, Avraham Avinu says, 1 second, Hashem, I got 3 guests. I have 3 Arabs that came to me. He didn't know they're angels. He thought they're 3 Arabs. They could have been Hamas. They could have been Palestine. They could have been whoever. Oh, it can't be Palestine. They weren't existent back then. And today they don't exist, just imaginary. But nonetheless, could have been somebody. Hashem, 1 second, I got to go attend to these guests. You're talking to Hashem, the King of Kings. Ishtabach Shimon Ad. What are you doing? Somebody's in the middle of a conversation with their boss that gives them $15 an hour. They won't walk away. Here, Avraham Avinu is talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He says, 1 second, Hashem, I got to go. I have 3 people, I don't know, they're Arabs. They may be idol worshippers that pray to the dust on their feet. So I got to wash their feet to see if they allow me to wash their feet, and they're not idol worshippers. But if they don't allow me to wash their feet, that means that they're going to gather the dust on their feet that walked in the desert all day and pray to it. So they're idol worshippers. So I got to leave you, the King of Kings, to go attend to them. And then give them some food, shecht a whole bull for them. Each one gets his own tongue. So I'll be back whenever I finish. 5, 6, 7, 10 hours. Avraham Avinu paskined that it's greater to host the guest in order to get them closer to Hashem and do kiruv than it is to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Where did Avraham Avinu learn that? From Hashem himself. From Hashem himself. How so? Hashem obviously knew that he was going to talk to Avraham. But it was possible that Avraham is going to go leave to go attend to guests like he does every day. So what did Hashem do? He took the sun out of its shell to stop guests from coming. So even Hashem paskins the same way as Avraham Avinu. That if guests come in the middle of our conversation, in the middle of the prophecy, Avraham is going to have to go. So let me just stop the guests from coming by putting out the sun so nobody's coming. And that way me and Avraham can have a chavruta. That's where Avraham got it from. Avraham's wisdom was beyond comprehension. Already at 3 years old, he knew more than we could ever imagine in our wildest dreams. Also another person that the chokhmah of Shlomo Amalek, as great as it was, is not compared to the chokhmah of Avraham Avinu. Chazal say that Avraham Avinu was greater than Shlomo. Avraham Avinu, with all of his greatness, decided that in order for him to serve Hashem, he has to go leave the conversation every single day, leave the books, leave the elevation of himself in prophecy, and go teach the lowest level of students who Hashem is. That's what the Chatam Sofer says. He says he didn't have great students that were extraordinary Talmidei Chachamim. No, he's telling them, listen, Hashem. Oh, you mean the idol? No, not the idol. Chamor, not the idol. Hashem. Where's Hashem? What's Hashem? Hashem, the God. God, the one that created the world. Not the idol. Idol, you made it. You bought it from Walmart. That's not God. That's nothing. That's garbage. Hashem, He created the world. Okay? Say thank you, Hashem. Okay, thank you, Hashem. Buy a t-shirt from BeEzrat HaShem shop. Says thank you, Hashem. Okay, I'll buy a t-shirt. Buy a cup. Says thank you, Hashem. Okay, I say I'll... Thank you, Hashem. Okay. Next day, all right, now we're going to learn Aleph Bet. That's the language that Hashem created the world with. He took these letters and He created the world with them. Aleph, Aleph. Bet, Bet. Gimel, Gimel. Dalet, Aleph. No, not Aleph. Dalet, Dalet. Teaching them Aleph Bet. He's dealing with people that are full of immorality. Hey, Rabbi, listen, I love you and everything, but I need help. What happened? I can't stop wasting seed. I can't stop cheating on my wife. I can't stop stealing my business. I can't stop driving on Shabbat. That's who Avraham Avinu is dealing with every day. He's dealing with idol worshippers, with immoral people. He's dealing with people that are clueless about Hashem. That's who he's busy with. And that's who he decided to leave prophecy behind for. That's who he sacrificed everything for. And therefore, says the Chatam Sofer, Hashem in His goodness says that it's not possible for Avraham to lose out in attaining a higher level of prophecy as a result of his sacrifice for my children, for my creation. He is my servant. So there's no need for preparations. What does that mean? Hashem, Ishtabach Shimo La'ad, says, Avraham Avinu, Avraham, my child, Avraham, my son, he doesn't need preparations. I'm going to him. All the other prophets have to prepare to speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sometimes for a few days, longer, all types of meditations, readings, elevations, all types of words. Avraham Avinu, no preparation. Right now, he just finished making some shish kebab for a few Arabs that came to him. So a few times, okay, he got this guy to say Birkat HaMazon. This guy, he said Shema Yisrael. That guy, he's still working on Aleph Bet. He still has a little bit of the sauce on his hands. He's telling Sarah, Tzadikah, Sarah Imenu, Sarah, make some cakes. We have some guests. Right now, Avraham still has the apron around him, running the house. Hashem says, I'm going. Now I'm going. Yeah, but you didn't prepare. No preparation for Avraham. Why? Avraham cannot lose as a result of serving me, as a result of his sacrifice for my children. I'm going to Avraham to go and tell him my plans with Sodom. Because it cannot be that since such a tzaddik, he's such a tzaddik that he would lose out as a result of his inability to elevate himself, to learn more Torah, to pray even more, to have... He can't do it, not because he's playing basketball, not because he's sleeping all day, not because he wants to watch the stock market. No, he can't do it because he's constantly toiling in getting my children to do tshuva. He doesn't have a minute to breathe. There's a new message coming every second. There's a new person. There's a new problem. There's Shlom Bayit issues. There's Avodah Zarah issues. There's all types of... Non-stop people are coming to him. That's the reason why he can't. So I'm making an exception for Avraham Avinu. No preparations needed, Avraham. I'm coming to you. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with Sodom. I'm going to tell you the whole plan. I'm going to tell you the whole prophecy. Without any necessity for you to prepare. Because you sacrificed for my children. You are my beloved. We see here, Rabotai, so many things. First and foremost, we see that anyone that makes a sacrifice for the sake of getting Am Yisrael closer to Hashem, for the sake of getting the world closer to Hashem, closer to His Torah, will never lose out as a result of it. It's not possible. It's not possible for them to lose out as a result of real sacrifice. Whether it's major sacrifice in donations, in support, or time, or teaching, or effort, whatever it is that you make as a major sacrifice for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children, you will certainly never lose as a result. Impossible. Even if it's a prophecy that all other prophets were required to prepare themselves. There's Chachamim that have written about prophecy. I believe it was Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin has in his Sefer the entire roadmap of how to attain Ruach HaKodesh and even prophecy, what you need to do at each level of preparation. Literally, instructions. Just like when you buy Legos, they give you, okay, step 1, take the Lego out. Step 2, get these pieces. Step 3, take these 2 pieces put together. Step 4, Rabbi Chaim Volozhin has literally a step-by-step process of how to attain prophecy, how to attain Ruach HaKodesh. When a person learns even the first step, they realize, okay, it's pretty much Bitul Torah for me to learn any of the other steps. I can't even do the first step. All of the prophets had to do this. Avraham Avinu? No. Why? He doesn't have time. What do you mean he doesn't have time? Doesn't have time? Tough luck. No tough luck. He doesn't have time because he's answering WhatsApp messages for broken houses. He's answering WhatsApp messages for people that are addicted to pornography. He's answering, he's dealing, he's calling, he's going to people's houses. He's doing whatever he possibly can with all of his time to publicize my name. That's why he doesn't have time. You want me to judge that my son, my beloved, is going to lose as a result of sacrificing his time, his effort, his benefit, his good for the sake of my children? No, opposite. He's my beloved. He's a true servant. So the first thing we see is that you can never lose as a result of sacrificing for the sake of kiruv, for the sake of publicizing Hashem's name. Number 2, we see who Hashem calls His beloved, who Hashem favors. Number 3, we see the clearest difference you could ever imagine that distinguishes the Jewish leaders that follow the Torah and everyone else. Jew or Gentile leaders, doesn't make a difference, that are following politics, their own opinion, popular opinion, votes, likes, favoritism, all of the different things and motivations that drive people, money. Literally, you see that the Torah leaders and what motivates them, what drives them to lead, is the polar opposite of what political leaders use to motivate themselves. Where the politicians have no inclination whatsoever to sacrifice any part of their benefit. The only reason they want this position of power is for their own benefit. If it's a political position, it's the political benefits, whether it's the bribes or the special deals for family and friends, or the recognition that also comes with benefits, or the renting a stadium on taxpayers' money, all the different benefits. If it's somebody that is not a politician, but rather a leader because he wants to talk about politicians all day, looks like he has a noble cause. No, he simply has a news station that charges a subscription fee and makes over $100 million a year from it. From advertising, from subscriptions, from donors, from bribes, whatever he can get. That's why he's in the news constantly. It's not because he cares about Am Yisrael. Simply because he cares about his own benefit. He's not going to sacrifice his life. She's not going to sacrifice her life for the sake of Am Yisrael. No. Opposite. They'll give people as a sacrifice for their benefit. That has been and always will be the mentality in the politician and the likes. And that is the main thing that distinguishes them from the Torah leaders. And why the Torah leaders, their leadership succeeded beyond their time. Whereas the others, the moment they're out of people's sight, they're out of people's mind, and they cannot get out of people's memory fast enough. People cannot wait to forget about them. The only times you remember them is if somebody else wants to make money as a result of writing a book about them. Nobody cares about their policies, their ideas. Nobody cares about them. And there's endless amount of stories of showing the significant difference in how the Torah leaders sacrificed their life day and night for Am Yisrael, and you compare it to different leaders. There was one time, the time of the Russian Tsar, the queen, his wife, arrived at a destination with her entourage of servants and people and soldiers, and she saw that it rained, so there was mud, and she didn't want to dirty her shoes. So she said, get some rugs. I said, there's no rugs. We don't have carpets or rugs. I said, okay, get soldiers. Got a bunch of soldiers. And she had all of the soldiers lay on the floor so she could walk on top of them in order not to dirty her shoes with mud. She had no problems that they dirty their face with mud, their shirts with mud, that they're embarrassed and shamed that she's walking on them. No qualms about that. Because her shoes are of higher importance to her than the messes. And ultimately, when you see what Rabban Gamliel told the Chachamim, who thought that a position of leadership will give them too much honor, he says it's not honor. I'm giving you servitude. The moment you become a true Jewish leader, where you're going to do what's required, you're going to sacrifice everything, that means that you're going to make the ultimate sacrifice, which is your freedom. You no longer have freedom. Why? Your time does not belong to you anymore. Somebody needs your attention. Somebody needs your wisdom. Somebody needs your answer. Constantly. This is why there's literally endless books of stories of Chachmei Israel from all the generations. And anyone that has ever written a book about one of the Chachamim will tell you what he wrote about this Chacham does not even scratch the surface of all the stories that are really available. If you compare that to the bios about different politicians and leaders and secular people, usually everything that's in a book is everything that there is to say. And sometimes, more often than not, what they said in the book is really more than what really happened. The difference is, the Chachamim, they made the ultimate sacrifice, which is their freedom. The moment you become a Jewish leader that's following in the footsteps of the Jewish leaders that we've had throughout our history since the beginning, you have decided that your time is no longer yours. You have decided that your freedom is no longer yours. You are now a public benefactor. On the other hand, the other types of leaders that are not following the Torah's ways, the ultimate gain that they have is freedom to do whatever they want. So while the Torah leader loses his freedom as a sacrifice for the people, the other types of leaders, the more powerful they are, the more they have the freedom to do whatever they want, even if that means that it'll hurt the masses that they're supposed to lead. This, Rabotai Karim, is the reason why Rav Elchonon Wasserman and all of Gedolei Israel have repeated generation after generation. If you want to go in the right direction, you follow Gedolei Israel, because they are Da'at Torah. They are the truth of the Torah. They'll tell you right or left. As Rabbi Akiva said, they are Am Yisrael. They are Am Yisrael's wings. Am Yisrael is the dove. They're the wings. Without the wings, we crash and fall. Shem Elechem. So if you want to pick a leader, pick somebody that has Da'at Torah. Pick one of Gedolei Israel. Because if you pick anybody else, whether they're rich or popular, or they have a big YouTube channel, or they're connected, or whatever they are, it'll be a complete and utter failure. Doesn't matter how much you donate to them, or bribe them, or talk to them, or promise them, or do for them. It doesn't make a difference. So long as their interest is themselves, that means that they're willing to sell you for their own interest. That means that they're willing to cheat you, lie to you, stab you in the back, be a hypocrite for their own benefit. In comparison to the Torah leaders, that these things don't exist. Why? Because their whole MO is sacrifice even their freedom for the sake of the benefit of the masses. The more we gain closeness, knowledge to the great Torah scholars, the more we can understand what freedom really is and what sacrifice they make. And the more we can understand how much we need to do in order to support them, in order to help them, because all of it is for our own benefit. The more we spend our resources and efforts supporting others, it's all to our detriment, Chas v'Shalom. This is the reason why Rav Wasserman said what he said, and why Chachmei Israel continue to say it today. Thank you very much for learning with me. May Hashem bless each and every single one of you to have the zchut to share this and all of the other lectures with your community, with people that you're going to get them to understand the difference between Torah and everything else, especially when it comes to leadership. Anyone that wants to support, whether it's the food campaign to help Torah scholars and poor families in Eretz Yisrael, could donate on the website and the campaign that we have. If you want to help us with all of the other amazing things that the organization is doing, you could donate on the website, BeEzratHaShem.org. And of course, you could always get some of the free books to distribute in your community, the free Asher Yatzar posters, and also my all-time favorites, the Kiruv cards that have Tikkun Abrit on them, and the AI Rabbi on the other side, that are beautifully presented, and literally the greatest investments in the world, because each box can get you at least a few Baalei Tshuva. So in so many words, it's one of those things where if a person had the time and the ability, they would literally make this something they do every single day, because it's that effective. And Baruch HaShem, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a report from the different softwares that we have that tells me how many people scanned it, and how many people sent messages, and how many people watched, and so on. And every day, it's double digits, triple digits, or more numbers that come specifically from those cards. We're not talking about just all the channels and the videos and everything. I'm talking about specifically from those cards. Every day. Baruch Hashem. So, a wise person will take this to heart. Thank you again. Kol tu b'cha b'atzlacha, and BeEzrat HaShem will have a chodesh sameach and full of success. And all parents, make sure to pray for your kids tonight, if you haven't already, right before the Rosh Chodesh began. It's still a time to pray for your kids. The Shlag Kadosh has a special prayer that every parent should pray for their kids tonight. Kol tu b'cha b'atzlacha.
I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend. We did it. AI Rabbi is here. It's an AI model that is based on kosher Torah sources, 30 different languages that are available to you. So if you want to ask it in Spanish, in Chinese, Portuguese, whatever you want to do, it's available for you. Can you tell me about Rabbi Akiva? So it's timestamped to the shiur. You press this green button, AI Rabbi on your WhatsApp. You'll have the ability to ask questions at will. You'll be provided sources, and most importantly, you'll be able to know the truth and be able to rely on the sources.